Let me say something.
This can take it to a 2 hour, man.
If the first time we find out that you a Christian and that you have all of these, like, oh my God, Jeremiah 39,
say this to the camera.
We have all these, and the first time we find out that you're a Christian is you spewing some homophobic rhetoric, some homophobic. You ain't a Christian.
What do you think like that little gap period is gonna look like? You know what I mean? As far as like because I know you say you also working on a brand too.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm in this phase of trying to build this brand and this project out. So I'm just wondering, like, what does that look like? You trying to capture some of that time where you might have been doing something like working, but now you got some time to like build. Like, what did that look like for you?
It looks like centering myself. And lately, the questions, I've been real curious with myself lately, asking myself, how do I want to feel versus what do I want my life to look like? Like, what I want to look like. I want to look like this. I want to do this. I want to do that. But how do I want to feel every day? Like, I want to feel a consistent, it doesn't have to be constant, but a consistent level of joy, a consistent level of contentment in my everyday life, a structure that, like works for me. Yeah. So, and I feel like through that feeling and following that feeling of how I want to feel versus how I want something to look like or appear as, then those things, it's going to gravitate towards me. Because I have an idea. I have an idea of visuals and navigating that and like that feeling. I have an idea. Yeah. But I want to let my feelings truly be the guide, and through your feelings, you can trust yourself more. And I feel like your intuition is stronger when you're in touch with that part of yourself. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that answered that.
Yeah, no, I did for sure. Like, I feel like that's a big thing I've been trying to also get a little bit more, get better at, is really just relaxing to a piece of like where what's always meant is going to find its way.
Exactly.
And just really like taking those natural signs and stuff that might tell you that you're on the right path and really not trying to force it. You know what I mean? Really just kind of like doing it. Kind of what we was talking about earlier, like just building on like from experiencing and talking to other people and just kind of adding different stuff to your palette. Like that's kind of what I'm trying to, focus this around as well. And, just doing stuff, having more examples.
And you doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the main thing, is taking action and doing it. And it's once you do the thing, whatever that is, whatever the thing is, once you do that thing, everything, it's like a domino effect. Everything else falls in place. And again, that gravity pull that we talked about, like that gravity pull in like the solar system, it gravitates, it circles around you. You can't run from that. And this is so authentic too. That's why I love this. I'll say yes, like this is very authentic. I mean, years in the making. It took years. It took some time for me to get here.
It definitely did. We be busy, but
it took some time for me to get here. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, but right here in this moment today. And it just feels right. It feels perfect timing. Yeah. We both in the middle of different transitions, different sides of the coin in our life, but it's perfect. Sure. It's perfect timing, divine timing.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today, brother. So I'm going to bring in the guest, though. I'm going to say welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Truth to Power. This is a show that's evolving right now under my Casual Consciousness brand. But what we're trying to do, essentially, is really connect you with people who got some good truth and some good power to speak. So today I'm chopping it up with my boy, Tanner. I'm gonna let him introduce himself because I don't want to necessarily, miss nothing. But, today we're just gonna be having a conversation and thinking about the ways like that we doing the work in our lives, making that a little bit more translatable to the audience. But then also, whatever the conversation lead into. So I don't want to put no constraints on it. No, we got a lot to talk about. So I also wanted to, just brief that before I turned it over to you. Because then after that, we had it. So. Yeah.
Yo, I'm so happy to be here. I'm Tanner Zion. I'm a lover. I'm a liberator, a community worker, a scholar, a son, a brother, a friend, a creator, a creative. I'm life force, nigga.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I was like, I feel like I couldn't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't end up on that note. But hopping right into it, I think it might be helpful to phrase or a frame like how we met. So, on campus in the Marshall Riley Living Learning community. Yeah. And just like what that experience was, you know, I really want to, you know, kind of just start thinking about like reflecting on that space, because like, you know, we got Naeem back here too. Shout out Naeem, he's behind the camera.
What's up, Naeem?
He just waved y'all, but y'all can't see it. But we like, he in the living learning community now. So, and I'm the RA, so like I'm low key kind of like looking at it, just like, damn, like that was us like 4 years ago. So I just want to, you know, go back to that space and thinking about like, you know, just overall, like what was you thinking, especially with you, because I know you coming from. Was you fresh off of coming from your HBCU?
Yeah.
When you went to the LLC?
Yeah.
So, like, let's just hop into that. And to preface, like, the LLC is, like, 30 black people living on the floor in a residence hall, living together, taking a class together. So, like, you coming from an HBCU, like, just tell me, like, what was the headspace you was in going to that?
Yo, so I was fresh off the boat from Southern University A&M College, where I studied public relations and also pledged the greatest fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to Jordan, shout out to Justin, my divine aunt brother.
Yeah,
but
it's unity.
It's unity. But I just really was intrigued by the program. Like I was really intrigued by the program, and I think one of the first people I interfaced with that maybe January, February, I think it was Dr. Aja actually. One of the first people I interfaced with, and I just thought it was a great opportunity for me to study African American studies, because at Southern they didn't have African American studies, which is crazy.
That's so
at
crazy.
HBCU.
That is so crazy.
Like as a major, that was not a thing.
Yeah.
And that's something I crave, like coming from like studying communications, which was something that I was just kind of like, I'm attracted to this thing, so let me do it. But the program and USF did a good job. It just was so unique.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we study African American studies, politics, gender and sexuality studies, all in one.
I about to say, you got like a lot of tags in your degree. Like, what's your actual degree?
I got so many. It's critical diversity studies, the concentration of African American studies. And I had like, you know, the subparts and a lot of other stuff that was intertwined in that. Because it's so good, like you can make it up. Anyway, back to the LLC. And I just was hesitant. And I remember talking to like Dr. Sears and Dr. Hodge. I'm like, yo, because at the time I was 23 or something like that. I think 22 or 23. And they was like, oh, you're going to be living with like some freshmen. Yeah. And so kind of the trade-off and how I kind of got in was Christian. Because he was a senior. You know, he was a senior and he was there.
My boy, CJ.
Love CJ, man. That's still my boy. That was kind of the trade-off. It was like, well, what if we put CJ, you know, CJ, he's a senior, he's more mature. And I was like, all right. And as we know, that was even me being there. I stuck out like a sore thumb. And I just kind of felt like, what am I doing? Did I make the right decision? Because originally after Southern, I was about to move to LA with my best friend. She ended up moving. Shout out to Angel. That's my rock. But she ended up moving to LA. And she was doing some great things there. And I was like, am I choosing education again off her, you know, kind of going into the creative space that I've always craved and always wanted to go into? But I just knew that in order for me to impact my community, like I wanted to, especially from a creative and like an actor's point, I just knew I needed a deeper well of knowledge to have the backing on how to approach media, how to approach my artistry, through a black lens. Like, and I have that just as a black person. And of course too, like as a queer black person too, you have that foresight just from life. But to have that mental backing, and of course I'm not saying like education, you gotta go to college, you gotta get these degrees to have this backing, but it's something about being grounded in the knowledge and within the books and kind of like that black lens structure where you're immersing yourself into these studies and different like point of views from every single area. It's unbeatable. So that's kind of the headspace I was in. I didn't really feel accepted when I first got in there because of course like I'm older. Like, and it was this whole thing going on like they got a 23-year-old living on the floor. Got, you know, I remember all that stuff. But that of course like end up clearly like, you know, ironing itself out actually at the
retreat. The retreat is pivotal, bro. The retreat is pivotal.
That end up ironing itself out, and La Shireen along with myself and some other folks like that got nipped in the butt and had.
And that's early. It was early.
That was super early on. That was like what 2 weeks in, because y'all also was there because y'all freshmen. Y'all also was there
for like 10 days.
Like almost 2 weeks before I got there.
We was there for a hell. They don't do that no more. They come like a week before now, but like we was there for like a minute.
Yeah, before. I got there 2 days before classes started. I think I got there like on a Saturday. My family moved me in. Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing? I didn't make the right decision. What is happening?
Different. That is different for sure.
But yeah, so that's kind of where my headspace was. But one of the best decisions that I made. For sure. You know, I was able to, for the first time, truly exist like in totality of like my Blackness, like the intersectionality. Yeah. Truly living like the intersectionality, because I feel like HBCU, you know, and then COVID came too while I was studying. Yeah. So that's a whole nother thing, but just kind of was like frat boy, Black, like it just really wasn't, it was a little rigid, honestly. It wasn't any really space for me to fully develop. Yeah. And so like being in the LLC gave that to me, and I was allowed to exist and to grow at all aspects of myself and Blackness. It was beautiful.
That's beautiful. Dope. That's dope. Now, I'm like glad that we had you like in the community, especially your one from like you was kind of saying like the elephant in the room, like you being older. I think like that was also necessary for the ecosystem, and some like I feel like I was able to become more mature from just being around you, just being like, this is just how an older person, you know, thinks, or how they move, or how they kind of digest certain situations. Because, you know, it can be like a lot of drama, a lot of just like, you know, we fresh out of high school too. So I also feel like having you in community to like also kind of like, you know, be a mirror in some ways of like, this is how you model this level of adulthood that we're going into. Like that was hella like valuable. But like the other side, and bridging into the conversation that we was talking about a little bit earlier, is like, I'm glad that you were able to live in both of those intersections and really be fully yourself, because I think that like the power of being in that community specifically was something that you really don't get a lot, where you can see so many different aspects of Blackness and so many different ways to humanize people that you previously haven't if you just weren't in those communities already. So where like it just brings more value to the experience when everybody is allowed to be themselves. Because like I feel like a lot of the closeness that we had was really just from being able to be in community with each other, and like, you know, every day we can see each other, say what's up, stop in the lounge, chop it up, and really just, you know, had like that personal connection. Because like to a lot of how society works, and like with a lot of like the issues we got in the Black community pertaining to like homophobia, a lot of society will like keep us separated, you know what I mean? So like where we got those blinders on, we not really able to see each other. But like when you in the halls and stuff like that, like you really able to see people for who they are. That's when you like get bonds and stuff. So like, I'm just glad you was able to really have that expression, because that also adds like similar value to like you being older. That adds value to how I'm shaping my worldviews and stuff. Where, you know, I'm able to kind of think of like thinking from stuff from other perspectives, you know, and thinking of things where I got blind spots, you know. And that's kind of like building into what we was talking about earlier, like that intellectual palette. It's like truly grateful, you know, really be in community with you, and then let that come to this conversation that we having now, because like you know, we could just had never met each other, you know what I mean? So like
and I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Justin, because it was rough at first. It was worth like that first maybe like 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks before we went out. It was because it feels like it was longer than it was, like that time frame, because to me in my brain I'm like it was months, but it was like no, it was a couple weeks of like comfortability. But I also was in my own space, like what could these like fresh out of high school kids kind of like teach me? Like I already been down this path, but it was so much more. I look back at that time, it was so much more too for me to learn, and just freedom and like self-expression was beautiful. Like before I got here, you know, and also coming from a predominantly Black area, I went to predominantly Black schools, going to HBCU, and then getting here, a lot of people ask me about was it a big culture shock? And the crazy thing is, because of LLC, it wasn't. It wasn't, because I had this buffer around me. And then we had a guarantee, you know, like the guarantee, you know, like Black professor, and the class that we all had together. We lived together. We breathed together. Like it was so much. We did so many things together all in once. So once being out of that space, and we all still was in community, like, you know, still to this day.
It's a good connector piece to fall into if you coming from everybody Black. It was
that's
a good spot to be in.
It is. It was a soft place to land.
Like, so definitely.
It wasn't that, but I definitely appreciate that, and it just it helped me also not take myself so serious. Like, bro, I look back at 22, 23, I'm like, yo, I needed that buffer to not also be so serious. Like, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I have to do. It's like, chill, have fun, vibe, bro, laugh. Yeah, go out.
Nah, for real, that's what you need. Everything is the balance. But I'm kind of thinking of like still standing in your time at USF and kind of like bridging from that though. So you talked about like what your degree was in, but I guess I want to more so shift to like the work that you was able to do post, getting your degree and like engaging with the community and like what has that looked like in this newer phase of your life? Like, how has that experience been now? You was engaging with community, landing in San Francisco with the LLC, all the way to, now you graduated and now, you out here still in the Bay. Like, what has that been like for you?
It has been one of the most like invigorating experiences, and also just life, like really life, like the valleys and the mountaintops too. A lot of this has taught me about balance, and also like I was telling you earlier about feelings as guidance. If you would have told me like 4 years ago that I would be in this position that I'm in right now, I don't know. I wonder if I would have like believed it or said it. But it started because of, while in LLC, the internship that I got and that I was placed at was the community center. It was Ella Hill Hutch that I was placed at. And I was there, and I just was like, I really wanted to work, because at the time, Collective Impact was paired with Citizen Film. So it was like documentary film.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
It was like documentary film, but then also the Black Community Center and Historic Fillmore District, and working within like the Black Teen Program. I was like, yo, I always wanted to do something like that. And here's the thing a lot of people don't know too. At the time, before I got into the program, I was in San Francisco in 2021. Both of those summers, 2021 summer and 2022 summer, working for a performing arts company, which was great. And that was, at the time, the most money that I ever had earned. Like, that was the first time I saw a comma on a check. I was like, dang, they paying over here like that in California. What? And I was getting paid to like write and direct and do like direct like kids too, which was a crazy experience of its own. But and just I'm gonna circle back. Stay with me. I'm gonna circle back.
No. I'm with you.
Stay with me. So that program too, like that kind of shaped my life of like how I can definitely plant seeds here in the Bay and in San Francisco. And my family here really helped me with that, because I do have like family here. My cousin Brandon and Sarah, and Sarah is, I call her my cousin because that's my family, but that's my cousin's wife. And her parents, who I call my aunt and uncle. Great people. I stayed with them in the summer, would house sit for them in the summer, so I was able to have the opportunity to work here and live here in the summers before I got into the USF program. And I was working for the performing arts company, which was a pretty white company. It was pretty white, great structure. I had a couple, like a Black girl who I worked with who, love her. She upped and went to Paris. Like, that girl is hilarious. I love her. That she made the time there great. And there's a couple other people of color there, but pretty white board members, very wealthy white, San Francisco. Very wealthy white, families who are in these programs. And the immersion trip happened. So, fast forward, I'm moving forward. The immersion trip happened, and that changed me. The immersion trip we went on really changed me.
In a way. It tends to do.
And this is before, so this is like the semester before I go my internship at Ella Hill. And it changed me like in so many different ways. And I was like, okay, I cannot. When we got back, I was like, I couldn't. Like, it was like in my spirit, it was just visceral. I could not continue to work for them and like give my talents. And I'm like, yo, I'm walking away from like, at the time, like a good amount of money to do, like, to write and direct and create. But I'm like, I have to find a way to use this resources of myself and my creativity for my community. I have to. And I know it's like Black kids that need this from me too,
Yeah.
vice versa, because I'm giving all of this to, you know, these non-black kids, and it just was, it was a ethics thing for me. It became an ethics thing for me.
Yeah.
Like once you know something, you can't unknow it.
Yeah.
My blinders were gone, and I was like, oh my
That's
goodness,
real.
everything I was studying, everything at that time.
Yeah.
So then that came up, Ella Hill, that January. We went on an emergent trip. What was that?
We went in January.
In January, right?
Yeah.
So we went on an emergent trip in January. The January we did our placements and stuff like that, and it came up, and so I stopped doing that, and even thinking about going back at all. Went to Ella Hill, you know, internships. You know, we weren't getting paid. Well, I wasn't. You know, we were not getting paid, and then worked there. Really built up a community within that team program, and it's like too. You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
You never know who's watching. At the time, the executive director James and Brittany, and they were like wanted me to come on for the summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, I didn't even know they were watching. I just was doing me, really trying to make community with the teams that were there.
Yeah.
Talk to them, just be there and sit with them and do whatever. And it was like, brought me on as a fellow. So that summer I was on as a fellow. I stayed on during the school year, and I think the next year I became, was I a fellow, like a lead fellow or something like that? And then I became like assistant, like in the program, like for the team program. And then I became the lead for the team program.
Yeah.
And then leads me to here now of like still the lead for the team program, but also outreach coordinator. So it just was a lot of freedom, and I had a lot of great mentors and space to really develop too.
Yeah, no, I just want to pull on something you said a little bit of just wanting to figure out like what are you and I know it might be hard because we was talking earlier. You was like, I do everything, but like, kind of like, what's the work? You know what I'm saying? Like, let us in on like, what's the work? What's the mission of the overall organization? And also, like, what's your role in that?
The mission, and this is long before I got there too. Like that, Ella Hill has been there a very long time. Like Ella Hill was a great woman, supervised a black woman, died pretty early, did some great work. So the work has always been there. And at the time too, when I got to Ella Hill, when I got to Collective Impact, Shell Davis had built something along with, you know, other people and community folks, built something so beautiful there already. So I walked into a great thing. Well, I was just able to whatever, but the work is number one, always to support and impact communities of color, black and brown communities, and that black community in the Fillmore. That was and has always been the work, and it's generational. Like there are kids and teens in that program whose parents who were at Ella Hill, and their siblings, generational, like siblings after siblings, who have been within that program.
It's a pillar of the community.
Like a lot of teens I work with, they've been there since like pre-K, and they're seniors in high school now. You know, and when I got there too, like I've sent, which is great, and I've sent kids to college because I've been there, so, you know, 3-4 years at this point. So have seen kids go off to college and going into their, like going in like, hey, I'm about to go into my last year. I'm like, what? You about to be a senior. I met you when you was a senior in high school, when you was a junior, which is crazy to think about. But the work is always the impact and filling in the gaps of where the city and society, you know, slavery, how it has impacted black people, redevelopment in the Fillmore, redlining in the Fillmore. So filling in like that literacy gap too, because it's a literacy gap that happens. So we're filler, but always the work is to impact the community and the black and surrounding community too. That always is to fill those gaps in. And work alongside. That's important too. Not pull up, not save, but always working alongside. Like asking,
that's big.
What do you need? How can we show up for you? You know, like, have you ever thought about this? Well, let's do this. Let's meet in the middle.
Right.
In that way. Not saving, but
that's
working alongside.
That's a big piece. Like, I'm glad you said that, because that make me think back to, like, man, shout out Dr. Sears, bro. Like that second semester class, man, where like we was doing community engaged learning. I think it was also to your point of like coming right off the immersion trip too. Like I feel like we were just feeling stuff a little differently. But the way that like she kind of taught engaging with community from like a you got to assess like some people take like an asset, some people take a deficit based approach, you know what I mean? And like thinking about the framing of how you even showing up in the spaces and stuff like that. What's your biases? What's the things like, are you imposing like what you think is best, or like, are like you was kind of saying, being collaborative? And I think those kind of like the blind spots of like getting you from being somebody who care about something to being somebody who actually can do something, make change, make meaningful change. Because like some stuff you might just be getting in the way, making more work for people, being like completely in the opposite. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm glad that you touched on that. But that also connects to a thought that I was having as you was talking, just knowing, because you from the South, you know, you from Louisiana, and I'm kind of thinking of like, bro, like what is the, you know, I'm kind of fleshing out this thought. But it's just something there of like, you know, you working in the Fillmore, doing a lot of good work with the community. And you kind of recognize that like you naturally drawn to that. And this semester, I've been doing a lot of work in the Fillmore. I did some in soccer with them, connecting them with like community businesses, and like we trying to do some community cleanups at the end of the year in there. So like I've been working with the Fillmore a lot, and you know, I'm kind of naturally also gravitated towards like serving the Black community. But I'm also thinking at this point of like, we are not from here, you know what I mean? Right. And like, what's that feeling from you on that end of like having that draw to want to serve the community, specifically areas like the Fillmore? Like what do that mean to you, being somebody who coming from a different spot, and you know, just kind of showing up? And I want to think of it as like, if I'm gonna be somewhere, like I'm gonna be doing something. You know, I'm gonna be making it better by way of just me being here. Right. Otherwise, I can just not be here. You know what I'm saying? I could have been in St. Louis, you know, just being neutral. Right. So I'm kind of thinking like, what does that mean to you, of, you know, that kind of transition overall of changing place, but also like showing up as somebody who could be deemed, they ain't gonna consider you an outsider now, but like who could be deemed like an outsider, you know? Yeah.
The first thing I think about when you ask that is, again, shout out to Dr. Sears, Dean Stephanie Sears. Big Dean, baby. Definitely. Stephanie Sears. One of the things she told me, because I remember going to her after my first week at Ella Hill, and I was just like, this is a lot. This is blah, blah. And she was like, let me tell you something. Like, community is not perfect. Community isn't always, like, you know, comfortable. You are an outsider. Like, you know, you're an outsider. You are a kid from on top of the hill who just going there, trying to get his hours and go. So, you know, it's up to you on how you want this to happen, how you going to impact this. You said you wanted to be there. Make it happen. Be there. I was like, okay, Miss Girl. Like, all right. Yeah. But not it. It feels, Justin. It feels like a love letter. It feels like a love letter. Back to a community and space that I directly benefited from. And gave so much to me. Who am I not to return that back? Right. And be there. Be boots to the ground, doing the work. You know, so that's the best way. Like it just feels, it feels like a love letter.
I know exactly what you mean when you say that. I benefited
so much. You know, I benefited so much, and even a direct love letter to the Black staff here at USF, who helped me and guided me and uplifted me, make sure I was retained here. Like was in the fight with me. It's my love letter to them, like, your work was not in vain. Your work is not in vain when it comes to me, too. Nah,
I really fuck with that you said that, like, the not in vain aspect, because, like, it's, I think of, shout out Dr. Marshall, but he would say, like, you got to, like, he always be telling me, like, it's a marathon race. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to pass that baton to somebody. And, like, to that point of, like, you saying, like, I don't want this to be in vain. I feel like that's, like, being, like, dropping the baton or not wanting to pick up the baton in the first spot of, like, somebody put work in, you know what I mean? And like figuring like that way that like you ain't got to do the work like that person who came before you did the work. Right. You can do it in your way. You can do it in Tanner way. You can do it in Justin way. But like you still got to do the work, you know what I mean? And like figuring out like what that look like for you might also kind of help people pick that up in the first spot of knowing that like you don't have to look the same way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And also at the same time you ain't got to reinvent that wheel. Yeah. But I think like the underlying message is like doing something and doing something that's generating something good for, you know, others, and to the point of like wanting to like give like a love letter. I think specifically with San Francisco, you know, like the ability to, you know, come out here from like the Midwest or the South and like really just live in the area. I feel like, bro, like this is my first time living in a really like developed city. You know what I mean? Like a city where like you can just hop on public transit, you go anywhere.
A
you
dream.
know what I'm saying? Like
A dream.
it's nice. You got everybody at a coffee shop, and the sun shining. Like I just feel like like to be in an environment like that. And then you also like when you hear enough and you know the history of how black folk violently was being separated from this dream city that they created and all that, and like the way that they want to like paint it out to be, then it almost inspired me more to like get into that work.
Yeah.
Building that community and building that like why why is it not that case for our spaces here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think about it in a way also of just now this is a little abstract, you might have to follow me, but I think of like in a way of like economics almost, of like if I'm just like a black man who like to serve his community, who got good morals, who XYZ, like I feel like if you drop me somewhere anywhere in the country, you should be able to look on some type of a graph and seeing that like this nigga generating some good. You know what I'm saying? He he inspiring some youth. He what I'm saying, he changing how people think about something. He just showing up being a good upstanding young man, opening the doors, carrying some growth. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like just don't go to a spot and just like extract or like don't do nothing.
I was gonna say that.
Like,
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, like you always gotta kind of like give to a spot. So that's another thing of like kind of getting meta with it, of like also like the podcast and like transitioning into like moving from just like doing a podcast show to doing like more of a comprehensive expression of an idea.
Yeah,
it's like with casual consciousness, it's kind of showing that like it don't necessarily just have to be you being Martin Luther King every day. You know what I mean? Like it can be on some casual stuff, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like 2 hours a day. Or like 2 hours on a Saturday, bro. Like give out some food in the in the tier or something like that, or
but that would impede on people's comfortability.
Now we finna have the conversation. Yeah.
That would impede on this illusion of what this city life is.
Yeah,
that would impede, and I've learned that people like to stay in their corners.
Yeah,
in particular, talking about San Francisco, people like to stay in their corners.
That's facts.
Of the neighborhood, in their area, do their little fests in their streets, and they don't be bothered. Not in my backyard. Like they don't be bothered. So if you have to face that there's poverty in this city, and it's just so much. It's so much. But there's poverty. There's poverty in the city. But there are people without need. There's people on the streets, and continuously like pushing them to different parts, like just picking them up, go over there, go over here. A convention in town, whatever is here. Let's house these folks and then release them like wild cattle. Yeah. So it's like nobody want to do that because it impedes on what you said, like this idea of like the city, the Bay, San Francisco. Hey, it impedes on it, and then it messes with people's illusions. Yeah, and when you bothered by that, and then like it messes with you, and you think about it, and it's like, well, I made better life decisions. Well, I made better. So then you start rationalizing things, and that's how we get into where we're at now, in the silence of what's happening in our country right now. Yeah. So you start to rationalize things. Yeah. And you think if you just rationalize this one thing, that it won't have a domino effect on how you rationalize other things and injustices in your life, in your neighbor's life, and then just nationally.
Nah, damn, you talking on some real stuff. I'm just like the way that your level of like comfortability, definitely. I feel like you hit the nail on the head. But I'm thinking of just like on a very basic level, like the reduced cognitive load. I feel like for a lot of people, where they just like they don't have to think about it. You know what I mean? Where they can just put it to the side, or scroll away from that video or something like that. Yeah. But it's just interesting when you live in a city like a San Francisco, or like insert your city that got work to be done. It's interesting that like to what way do you, I feel like, maneuver around that responsibility. You know what I mean? Like that's a big piece of like, I feel like the gap from how our world is and like how we want it to be for real. You know what I mean?
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How, you asked me about
Please ask more questions.
Being from this, I'm from the South, which I love, Louisiana. Yeah. Baby, Lake Charles 337 down.
All right, talk it.
I'm a Southern boy. I'm a Southern man.
I love the South. To the point of the immersion trip, we was just down there 2 weeks ago. We were in the South, bro, in Louisiana.
Full circle for you, taking a group on an immersion trip that you went on and had just such a life-changing experience on. That's beautiful.
That was crazy.
That's beautiful.
Well, yeah, shout out to South.
Shout out to the South, man. We put on, bro. We put on. I love where I'm from.
As I say that's the origin. That's the origin point.
Always, like, bro, I love where I'm from. But I'm curious, because it's something that I struggle with, is the life that I've built here, right? And I know in my hometown, I know in Louisiana, the great work that I do here, like from a community aspect and a community point, is just like, I feel like it's more things. Like, you being from St. Louis, like me from Louisiana, you being from St. Louis, in our communities, the work that I've done here, the work that I do here, the work that you've done here, the great that you continue to do here, do you ever feel guilty for like not like taking your talents back home or like impacting your community? Because the impact that I've had here, I'm just like, whoa. Sometimes I don't realize how much it is, like how much it's done until somebody say it, or like the things I do. And so I'm like, dang, like sometimes I do think about that. I'm like, should I be doing this like on my home turf? Should I try to bring this back somehow? But the level of resources and access, though,
it's different.
It's so different, because one thing about, I like nice things. I like nice stuff. It's a quality of life that I like to uphold.
You gotta be at Union Square, right? You know what I'm saying? You gotta get up on the 38. You know what I'm saying?
Like it's a balance.
I feel you.
You know, like you've been in my house. I like my loft.
I know.
Like I work hard. I worked hard for that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just that balance, and I'm just like, you know, and it's also this. But then it's on the other side of the coin where people from back home, I know you get this too, like black people from back home, the community is like, you made it. Like, you living in California. That's a big deal for like unks and uncles. Like, oh, you, man, unks, aunties, like, you in California. You did. And that's something I've always said since a kid that I was going to do. I didn't see it in this capacity, but I always said I was going to do that. So how do you, like, what is it like for you? How do you deal with that? If you know?
Yeah, that's tough. That's a great question, first off. Like, I think that also ties into like a little bit of what we were talking about earlier with me, like in this kind of like grad school decision-making phase of like, it's a lot, bro. It's a lot. Like, I feel like, first off, when I am back home, I'm always trying to do as much as I can. Like, when the tornado hit May 16th, like, that was literally the day of graduation. Because I remember we was at, like, Zane graduation. Like, the day of graduation, tornado hit the city. So, you know, usually, like, when you get home from, you know, college break, like, I don't know about y'all, I do, like, a week of, like, I ain't doing nothing. Like, it's just gonna be, I'm gonna walk my dog, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna watch some movies. Like, I ain't gonna do nothing. Like, I rest, cause you know, especially coming off this is junior year, so like I just crossed, like, you know, all the other stuff I do on campus, like just running, like you know, helping community build. So I'm like, I'm gonna rest. But like, as soon as I got back, I'm talking like next day, bro. Like I'm on my bike riding through, you know, tree debris over here, you know, helping old ladies carry water, you know, like feeding people, because you know the power out in the house and stuff like that. Because like it's a way where like I feel like if I'm there, bro, I gotta be doing something. If I can be doing something, I gotta be. And like with me only having like those limited windows, of, like I'm in St. Louis for 3 months because it's the summer or something like that. Like I'm making sure that like I'm gonna do a community service, or I'm gonna go do, you know, X, Y, Z. And like I also was able to work an internship that was community facing as well. So I feel like it was helping me feel like I was always doing something when I did have that limited time there. So I think like that's the way I balance with it, of knowing that like when I get the opportunity to kind of do some work like that, I do it. But then also like as I am building out here, of just thinking of the ways that like, you know, you're going to always be you're going to always have that knowledge. Just thinking about the ways that you can apply that back home. And always thinking about home, I think, is a good way to kind of keep me grounded with it, is just kind of that intentionality of keeping it in my mind, of thinking of like how, because like we learn like a lot of transferable information, like, you know what I'm saying, like we be in an African American studies class where generally that, you know, if you're going to talk about the Fillmore, you can translate a lot of that, you know, redevelopment, urban blight, you can translate a lot of that to insert your Black American city. So thinking about the ways like that just line up, you know, in those other contexts, and, you know, storing it for later when I can use it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's also a big piece of it. But I think the bigger piece in that kind of like uncomfortability is that like I feel, and this is just a feel, like this ain't no real.
Come on, follow your feelings.
This ain't no real like rooted in. Like you can feel how you want to feel about it, but like I feel like a city like St. Louis got more issues than a city like in San Francisco. So I be feeling like
it's true,
guilty.
It's true.
Yeah, I be feeling guilty almost to where it's like I'm helping build change over here, where it's like to your point, it's low-key easy for us to get involved and make change because they low-key got a culture around it. You know what I'm saying? It's like all these nonprofits and all, and like, not to say that we don't have that in St. Louis, but I think it's to a different extent where it's like hippies and stuff who was just like community minded and it's like activists. It's just like that's the culture of out here.
True.
To a way where like it'd be like, you know, like Jewish, bro, I don't know why I be doing that, bro. Like it's like the first time like you get like 30 minutes, then the next time you get like 10, then the next time like I don't know, bro. Just talking about like the level of ways that like you can engage, like I feel like it's a lot more intuitive to be community engaged out here. So naturally for a person who like gonna do it anyways, like I'm gonna find my ways to do it back home, but it's just gonna be so much easier to kind of do it out here in San Francisco. But I think
make a living.
Yeah, to like also like it's a whole industry around it. It is an industry. I think that's what I want to say. Of like it being so much, it's an industry around being a change maker, being a community minded, improved person to a point where like it might not be feasible for you to be a community worker back home. It's not. You know,
it's not. You're right. And to that point, you just helped me with that quick, guys. Like, you helped me with that.
But no, it's a lot to like. I feel like also connecting to like this thing of what I was saying with like grad school is like, you know, like I can go to Berkeley, you know what I'm saying, but like how many people from like across the country is wanting to come to Berkeley specifically to do something like a public health where you can make this change? I'm sure a lot more than people that's thinking about coming to St. Louis. And I'm uniquely positioned as somebody who from St. Louis, right? Who got this unique piece of knowledge, who got this experience, who know community for real. So it's like, it's not like it's a lot of me's who would be coming back to do that work. To your point of like, I really do feel like that piece of like, damn, like we should be doing a little bit more, you know, for the crib. Yeah. But also I feel like a good thing to recognize is like, who are the people who, a thing that give me peace is like, who is the people who holding it down for the crib right now? And I like to think about like a lot of like, just like the black women specifically in St. Louis who be holding it down, organizing, like the O'Shawn Ashes and Kelly McGowan who used to go to my high school. Like they be doing community work, you know, like really like breaking down information to help engage the people who, you know, still in St. Louis and like, you know, trying to bridge these gaps and get people like politically active and stuff. I just be thinking of the ways to like, how can I start supporting the work that's going, like asynchronous work, you know what I'm saying? We post COVID niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like how can we come up with some asynchronous like community work? Because like to that point, like we also live in a era where like we got a certain level of technology and access to where we can, you know, figure out those ways to help in the ways that we can. So I think it's just a way of figuring out of like refining that, making it easier, you know, figuring out the ways we can help home. And you know, just making sure that like what we doing out here is not staying siloed knowledge. Yeah, you know, to make sure it's not staying out here.
That's good. And you just kind of you had me thinking about like in ways when I have gone home, how have I impacted? Like how have I impacted? You know, my community. Like I went back to my high school. I spoke to a youth group that I grew up in and was a part of for a very long time. Yeah. It's just a little harder these days because at this point in my life and like where I'm at career wise, I'm not home as often. I go home for holidays. Yeah. To visit family, or like recently I went home. You know, I went home for a holiday, and then my aunt had passed in January, so I flew back home like right 2 weeks later. Yeah, you know, for her services and stuff like that. But it's like I'm never home at this point longer enough to
really do that work. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, but I try to support like if the youth or somebody like DM me or like tap me for something, or even like my little cousins or whoever, my nieces, like if anybody need anything, they know. You know, I'm here, and I try to impact it that way, but my reach is just a little further. Yeah. I just never want to feel disconnected from like a community. And the community I grew up in, you know, predominantly black community, and my grandparents and my grandmother in particular were insane legacy to follow. I mean, like freedom fighters, like my grandmother, insane educator, like great woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated, like just super well of just everything, and just open doors for so many people and black educators, to where she was pulling, like calling newly black teachers back then, was unheard of, newly black teachers to like get hired at these schools and stuff. So just following that legacy too has been beautiful. Even if it ain't on my home turf and I try to do that, you know, it's in me. So that's important. But with the access too, is like, it ain't like that at home. Yeah. Like you don't really have like you say, it's a whole industry here. Yeah. So I didn't think about it like that either. So that's
Yeah, nah, for sure. And like I think like the other piece I be dealing with is like also a certain way of like not copycatting, but or like copy pasting, but like trying to model like how is it that they got a whole industry around change making and all of that. Like I'm sure we can get into politics and in the just want to make people feel good and not barely moving the knee. I know that's a whole conversation there.
Yeah,
but like figuring out ways that like, and maybe not just copy pasting, but figuring out like how we can take models and just like mindsets and I guess entry points for doing that kind of work. Like how can we do that and make it transferable to like these areas like our homes that we want to see that in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel like that's kind of like the work piece of like I got a certain belief that like to a certain point like everything is everything. You know what I mean? Like it's just in different fonts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like out here on the West Coast, San Francisco, like I feel like when you think hard enough about it, when you really dig into the data, the history, like a lot of stuff is across the board transferable as far as knowledge, as far as how power works, as far as how you organize and connect people. Like, but you just got to put in a little bit more work to figure out how do you translate it? How do you translate it across state, county lines? Yeah. How do you show up in a way that you might be showing up in your daily out here? And to that point, it's like because it's gonna look different. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I don't talk to youth in San Francisco the way I talk to youth in St. Louis. Right. Because they live different lives. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So it's just really just walking that line. But every day, you know what I'm saying, you get a little bit better at it. You add a little bit more know-how. But I definitely do feel you. I want to affirm that like it's a weird feeling.
It is a weird feeling. Yeah.
Definitely a weird feeling. But no, I like that. I like when people ask me questions, bro. Because sometimes like it'd be a little nerve-wracking of just having to like constantly like keep low-key just like I don't want to say extraction, but like keep generating productive conversation. Like it's a lot. I feel like sometimes like when I get the question, it kind of help me like, yeah, man, I ain't think
it's just great. It's great because it's a conversation.
Yeah,
like you my homeboy for real.
Yeah, like, for sure. Like this ain't for sure.
Like this is my brother for real. Somebody recently, I was talking to Zane about it. Somebody recently was like, actually like, Justin, and I thought that was the craziest thing. Like, Justin, and I was like, do I know Justin? Like, that's my friend. That's my friend for real, yo.
Yeah.
Like, and I think about you, and like, of course, like I grew like homeboys and stuff from back home. Who that's my boys. Like I grew up with. We don't talk every day, but the love is there. That's my boys. But you are like one of the people who is just like a catalyst for healing. I feel like my relationships with heterosexual guys, like just healing that, and like I was just able, like again, to just exist. And you and I had a lot of tough conversations because, originally, we wasn't, which a lot of people ain't, know about. They ain't nobody's business. But like originally we did like butt heads about just certain things about what liberation looks like, what liberation, like what does that look like for Black queer people or like Black trans people, whoever, because I just feel like it's liberation for all Black people, whether color, creed, gender, sexuality, whatever, or not at all. Like it's not just a one way or like you got to fit this type of mode. And I feel like you and I just had some really good conversations, especially on an immersion trip. Yeah. Like back then, like on that immersion trip is really where I was like, dang, like I was able to like really see you. Like, and then I also felt seen like just through conversations. And I was like, yo, you, like, this guy has grown so much from when I first met him in August versus to now, and how your outlook on things. Because I remember one thing you had said, you was like, oh, before I see, like, your queerness, before I was like, your gayness or something like that, I see your Blackness. And then, like, I remember me and Zaina, and it was like, well, babe, like, no.
Like a whole conversation.
It was a whole conversation, just like, nah, like the intersectionality, like you got to see me. Yeah. Like I moved through this world. And it's also, too, as a queer man, gay man, whatever, however, whoever, it's all different. Whoever want to, however say it. But I also moved through the world with, too, I had to acknowledge, too, with a different level of privilege. Like as a man, and then as also you get into talks of like, a masculine presented man too. It's different.
The intersection,
it's different. The desirability for me is very different, and that's something that I think I didn't understand for a while at first until like I moved here. I didn't understand that. like it is a different level of like privilege even operating in that, like just the masculinity, and like I am way more accepted. I do have a lot of like homeboys. I'm in a fraternity, like I'm in Divine Nine.
Yeah,
that's a whole thing. Yeah, it adds so many layers. So of course I do it. Sometimes I do feel in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I was more feminine, if I was like leaned a little more this way, I'm like, would everybody be so accepting? Would everybody be like, that's my brother, like that's my dog? Like how everybody is just super accepting, because that to me is also an illusion. Like that I had to make sure I didn't get caught up in that, because it's not real. Because I can't help but think, I'm like, if I was, not you in particular, but if I was like more feminine, because I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it so many times with other friends and other people, that it's not as like, that's my brother, I don't care what he is. It's like, do you? So but you and I, we've come so far, and I just want to say that, like, for sure, your thought process on how you think things, and how you've even helped me, of course, look at things from a different lens. Like everything ain't gotta just be like this. Like we can mesh and meet somewhere here, because one thing I give to you too in particular, make that clear, that like you've never like wanted to impede on anybody's like humanity and who they are to their core at all. It's always came from outlooks of like, what's best for black people, what's liberation, like that don't matter, this don't matter. But you've come to understand like it all plays its role, it all has its thing. Seeing me as a like just in my totality, like thank you for that.
Nah, for sure. Like, and that's real, because I even like just thinking about time be flying. I was trying to think like, damn, like what was we butting heads on? But then I was thinking like I had some real like some real growth in that conversation. Like I remember, like that's a classic example of kind of like I feel like, bro, like they gonna have to start studying the LLC lounge as like a piece of black anthropology.
It's like
bro.
The Black Kitchen.
Yeah, because it's like
the Black Kitchen.
So much shit like be happening in there, like where it's like, the nigga might be getting his hair done for the first time. Somebody might be, you know what I'm saying, like watching a movie together. Somebody they eating, like it's so much that can kind of happen in that space. And like I had like a really good conversation, because like to your point, I think this kind of build on, I think what was a cool aspect of being able to live in the LLC and like live in community, to where like, kind of to the point of what we was talking about earlier. I was thinking about this before, like I kind of be doing like a little mental like map of how the show might go. I was thinking of like connecting that piece of like being able to see you more in your totality from being in community with you, and like to your point of like breaking down the now you got to see me as a person aspect. Like it's so easy to do that when you in community and like you able to like have that proximity, because like I think of how even with like niggas from California, like how we was just saying like, oh, California, you made it. Like it wasn't until I was able to actually to like be like, oh yeah, like I'm going to Safeway too. Like it ain't like you like some different kind of, you just a nigga who, your family just went to this part in the Great Migration. So like when you able to like really like share space like that, you are able to like, damn, like I was tripping, I was putting a label, I was doing some type of hierarchical analysis of labels and stuff with like vision, instead of like, nah nigga, it's a cross. You know what I mean? Like they all like on the same. And like that's like some real, like I got some real brain wrinkles of thinking about it like that, because like I think also to the point of the connection that we had and talking like some real conversation between like heterosexual man and queer man, of thinking about like those ways of like where are people missing each other at. Because I feel like I also had and it might be a benefit for like how we was able to get so close. I also have a unique experience of like my high school had a very strong queer presence, to where like it was more of a, I guess, an easier thing to understand and like to engage with people from on the aspect like that, to where I was able to like step back and not take it personally and take that critique, because like certain things was already instilled in me to make that much easier, to where like being in community is now like that thing that's popping off the lid, on top of all the other, just like having to intellectually understand that like this is a human living a life, like nobody like chose to be doing this. It's like this literally just like people are who they are. So like being able to like intellectually kind of come to that understanding, and then be placed in a spot where I can be in community too, whereas like y'all wasn't necessarily having a conversation with me to be like, putting me down, making me feel bad, to like actually have like a conversation where niggas can like, nah, like grow and stuff like that. And I feel like that helps me, and ultimately like puts out a path for just refining you into a better leader and a connector of people, because sometimes it might just be things like that that like are the mismatch on how we could be so much further along, but we got all these interpersonal things that we can't necessarily, you know, see past, and now we can have a whole conversation on just the interdynamics of like things that just pull us in other directions as community, but like we was able to work through it,
bro. Exactly. And what you talked about, like that fall off or that disconnect between like black men and black queer men, and I feel like being from the South, and I actually did my thesis. I did my thesis on I called it Southern Sins, like the black church, masculinity, queerness, and like homosexuality. Yeah. So I did a lot of in-depth studying, like did deep dives on like black church and like where did this where does this come from? Tracing it all the way back, you know, like to Africa and like our roots and like who are we, and like the black church, this you know dichotomy, like black church being this pillar for the black community, but then at the same time, you know,
some harmful stuff,
and like spewing like this hate towards things, and like these characters of like the, you know, like it was called like, you know, like the black sissy, like the character of that of like, you can be the choir director, you can be like this observer and of like this labor,
as long as we only accept you as if you producing something for us, you
exactly know what I mean?
And I think the exceptional one.
And these days, I think the fall off, like a lot of people like use their bases. What do you think the main thing people use their bases as? Like, especially when we see on social media, because that's also religion. A downfall. Religion. Let me say something.
This can take it to 2 hours, man.
Nigga, if the first time we find out that you a Christian and that you have all of these, like, oh my God, Jeremiah 39.
Say this to the camera.
We have all these, and the first time we find out that you a Christian is you spewing some homophobic rhetoric, some homophobic shit, you ain't a Christian. Why is it the first time we find out you crazy? Like
I ain't never,
God, like that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a
like,
good call out.
Yo, what are we talking about here?
Yeah,
what are we saying?
Yeah,
like what? That's a great call.
That's a great call out.
Like, what life are you living? This is the first time we find like you on this moral high ground. So it's crazy to me, and like
he's saying this on Sunday too.
Like, come on, like you ain't never picked up like theology. A great book, my Uncle Joseph, another person. Shout out to Uncle Joseph, and my nanny Twan. Oh my goodness, those two people. But he gave me this book when I got into USF actually, and I ended up using it for my thesis years later. Was Black Theology and Black Power.
I love James H. Cone. I love that. It's on my book. I love that book, bro. I love that book.
So it's just like you ain't even read theology, or like you haven't really studied for real Christianity to its root, or like studied what Jesus is actually about. Yeah. And it's like it's so many things in the Bible, of course, it's like left out, that's in the back that we don't even see, that we've never seen.
Specifically looking at how it's introduced to a person who looked like me and you, a black person. Specifically a black person who is descended from enslaved people, but then also just in general touched by colonialism. How does that look as opposed to, you know, just stumbling upon religion? Like, it's different.
And like these fake ass think pieces on like Twitter, which is like meant to higher like your cortisone levels. Like it's meant to do rage, all this like rage, like yo. Because sometimes I'll be online like, let me get off because I will.
It's not real.
Like this is not even real anyway. And even if it is a real person, you are not real, because clearly you've never interfaced with community and people. You're not. So to me, you're not a real person. Like I'm sorry, I'm not humanizing you. I'm like I'm just like, this is not real. It's fake, you know?
Yeah, you got to do that to a certain extent. Like, and I think that kind of built into what I was talking about earlier with like that critical filtering aspect of like, you can't like, you just can't engage with everything, bro. Like sometimes like you got to, you know what you were saying, like protect your peace, protect my cortisol.
Always.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm not doing it. I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah, because like sometimes like I be thinking of like, even from like a nervous system level, like why my heart beating fast, nigga? I ain't fighting no bear. Like this is a nigga saying something who made me feel a little angry, like, you know, like, and when I kind of like to talk about what I was talking about earlier, like them cognitive reframes, bro, be saving me, like having to like take a breath, bro. Sometimes it be like, you know what, step back from it, but like
I ain't fighting no bear.
But I be thinking about it like that sometimes.
It be feeling like that though. Like when your nervous system is dysregulated, which that's something I'm still like working on. Because like your mind, like through meditation and through therapy, that's helped me a lot. But like, because your mind get with it. Like your mind is like, it has it like, okay, like I'm not in harm's way, like nothing's happening, I'm safe, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But your body, it never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had learned too, I had learned some years ago in therapy that like certain things that you speak. So it's like, I'm anxious right now, I'm this right now. Your body, your brain knows the difference, but your body doesn't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So even if, so it's like important to be like, whew, like I'm kind of sleepy, or like I'm kind of thinking about this thing instead of saying like I'm so anxious, I'm overwhelmed. Your body like, oh, we overwhelmed, we fighting, we in fight or flight, you know. So it do feel like that. So that nervous system regulation, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
like getting that nervous system down.
Now it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot of different directions we can take this, but I want to do like a quick time check on both of y'all. Like, what's the rest of y'all days looking like? Like it's 2:48. We can start wrapping up. We can start. I got some wrap up questions. We can.
That's up to y'all. I'm vibing. We doing good on time. My dinner ain't till 5.
Okay,
it's good.
Sure.
We in the flow. Flow state. Me and bro in flow state right now.
Nah, for real. Cause I actually want to man, like I feel like the religion and kind of like the spiritual conversation is what we knocking on now.
Yeah.
But I want to think about. Oh man, like. I was just gonna say to that point in like the nervous system and like the power of the tongue almost. I feel like is what I'm thinking about, because you were saying that like somebody might be like, oh, I'm anxious, and like how that might manifest later in real time because you said that, you spoke that, and cognitively like that's what you kind of like aligned almost. And like I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, like that mindset shift of like me saying like, oh, I get to do these things instead of I have to. It's that's like good. Those words do really have power in like how we show up. So I'm kind of thinking of like, how do you I feel like it's a big disconnect. We was already just talking about Christians and specifically like black Christians, and you know sometimes like that Christianity be like an impenetrable fortress of knowledge and added stuff to yo.
What you mean you voted for Trump because he followed your religious beliefs? Like, so, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so that religion, you know, specifically that Christianity can be like a impenetrable wall for new information, for new knowledge and perspective on things. So I just want to know, like, for you, you know, coming from the South, you know what I'm saying, super religious, like, how has that been? I know you're also like somebody who can spiritually kind of, you know, like you I feel like in a similar way to the path that I'm on, you can kind of pick and add to your spiritual palette and your knowledge system, and you're not necessarily limited to certain things. So I'm trying to figure out like, how did you even start thinking like that to kind of like deconstruct? I know, like I know you read Black Theology and Black Power, so I can maybe think of some ideas with like that deconstruction aspect of religion. But like, how was you just able to get to, I would say, like a liberated spot of being able to have such a free flowing and diverse system of knowing things spiritually? Like, what's that path been like for you?
You talking about talk, Justin. Yeah. Justo. So I grew up, as you like, in the South, and I grew up in a very prominent black church that my family has been in for generations. Yeah. And where I'm from, and like,
not to cut your wisdom, but I just really want to acknowledge that like it's just so dope to like meet black people who so deeply connected to like I was just damn near got chills saying that like you in the South and you got these generational things that you can just look back to, because like a lot of times I feel like history might tell us that like our history lost in a way, or like we disconnected from like the past, but like I just want to say like that's just so dope that you can have like that cultural, like,
it's a blessing,
like that connection. Like I didn't want to cut your wisdom because no somewhere like, you know, building on like that aspect, but like I just wanted to say like that's just so beautiful to really like that's just a blessing.
It's a blessing, and it's like when you living in it, of course, and like you're a kid, and then you go to elementary, middle, high school, and then you beeline it for college. You know, you don't think about it. Like, it didn't hit me, I feel like, until I was like maybe like 20, I want to say. Maybe like 20. I was like, it was when I was writing a paper. I think I was writing a paper something, I don't know. And I was like, dang, wait a minute. Like, the roots are so deep. I'm so deeply rooted in the South. Like, everything that I am. Like you said, but, you know, growing up in the church and like just having, you know, like some prominent, you know, family members, like grandparents and family, and like my godmother still does a lot of work, like uncles who are pastors, and then like the church, of course, I went to, which is great, and it just has, you know, full of like black scientists, black doctors, black lawyers who went to. So that's how I grew up. That's all I ever really knew. But It took a minute, and of course, like for a lot of people, it was 2020. It was 2020.
I feel like that's a huge spiritual year.
I had endured so much, like at the beginning already. Like I was pledging.
Yeah.
I was pledging, and then in the middle of me pledging, my grandmother passed away unexpectedly on Valentine's Day. Yeah. And it's crazy because that same day, I just talked to her on the phone. Like everything was good.
Wow.
I was going to the bookstore the next day because she wanted me to get her a new like AKA like sweater or hoodie or something for the probate.
Yeah.
So she was like, I need me some new gear. I want to be fresh, my baby, you know. And I was like, all right, for sure. Yeah. And so she was like, go over there. I'm gonna send you the money. Go and pick something out for me. Go get something for me. I was like, oh, great. Okay, for sure. And so she passed away. Yeah. And you, from experience, you know, like know when you like in your process, it's a lot going on. So I, you know, do the funeral and then come back. It's just I didn't have a lot of time to process it. Yeah. And then we went right into COVID. After I played, after I crossed, we just boom, COVID. It was time for COVID. Yeah. So it really did. And so years before, I've always had questions about like religion and stuff like that. And you talking about somebody who at the time, I was the youth president for like the national like home and foreign mission for like Baptist churches. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about, like legacy wise. Like I was the youth president. That's huge. And so to have these ideas, to also be queer in that, it just was so much. Yeah. It was so much. And so my aunt, my Nanny Twan, who is just a big guiding force in my life since I was a kid, like always, like since 6th grade. Any questions I had, I would always go to her. Anything, like she grew up in the South, but you know, she like moved, her and my uncle only moved to California and stuff, to the Bay and stuff. So her outlook in life is just very different. She just is so grounded. And she wasn't always like that. Like Fireball, you know, black women, like Fireball, great, super educated, like she's amazing. And years in middle school, she gave me Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. And that was, in 2020, was my guide of like, I started reading and I was like, oh shoot, wait, so I'm not like this shell? Like I don't have to participate also in certain things. I can observe things. And then I got deep into meditation and into like fitness. Cause at the time too, in 2020, I was like, I was like almost 400 pounds. Like I was heavy, you know, you in college, you know, that extra that I had gained so much. So it's like what the mind did, the body will follow. So I had also like lost hella weight because I was just so tapped in to like my spirit for the first time ever, but also still honoring like the foundation that my family set for that, like a faith and something big and like God. But then I expanding that and be like, oh shit, God isn't everything. Like God is so vast. Like how dare I put God in a box? You know? So that's even still to this day, like I'm super, that's something that I protect like very much so, like my spirituality and like my meditation and my writings. And the most beautiful things come to me when it's just like me and God in a room and me and my book or deep meditation or deep prayer and deep sincerity for my life and what that looks like. Like that's something to me, like even right now, like I'm like getting chills talking about it. It's just in ways like eyes, like that. It's a verse and it's like eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. Like, and I think that falls flat like within like the Bible, and people don't really digest these things. Like so busy trying to control and use religion as a control thing. I'm like, do you know who you could be if you tap in with like that God within yourself? You know what I'm saying? You tap in with yourself and use it as a compass and still submit to something that's higher than you. It's nothing. It's like life and death is in the power of the tongue. It's like I manifest with every breath, like my breathing. So that's why nervous system regulation is also very important. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's things that I've written and things I've petitioned and I've prayed about that, you know, come to fruition. Or if they come to fruition, it comes, I always say like exceedingly and abundantly in ways that my mind can't even fathom. Like, I give an idea to God. I give an idea to source and the universe, and however anybody, you know, whatever you feel
semantics,
called to, you know,
calling it semantics,
you know what I'm saying?
Feeling the same,
you know, exactly. It's the same. We feel the same things, like whatever you feel called to, whatever, and it comes back better than you can think and better than you can imagine. And I thought about that when you said like, how did you say it again? Like a soft place and a soft place. Like
I'm stuck between a pillow and a pillow.
A pillow. I'm stuck between a pillow and a pillow. It's like, yo, choices, but that on its own could be a lot. So that's like spiritually, man, that's my books and stuff. And I always be so shocked when people come to me and ask, like my little cousins, like come to me and be like, what's a good book to read? Have you read The Four Agreements? I'm like, yeah, let me do that. And it's crazy because that's what my aunt used to do to me. Like she never was trying to persuade me and be like anything like that. But I would go to her and she'd be like, look at this, like guide this, read this. How do you feel about this? Questioning myself. And so now I'm in a place where I'm secure, you know, in my life and in my spirituality, and just really tapped in with God, and not through a religion, you know, not through the confines of rules and regulations like that are on my being and on like other people's, you know, being impeding on people's humanities, on how they came here. You know, it's a way, my disposition on how I came here, and I've always been that way. So that's important. That was good. That's good, Justin. That was a good question.
Yeah, no. And I feel like, bro, like you were saying a lot of like things that that's easy to just like, I can just nod my head to it, just be like, yeah, because like, man, like even to that piece of like what you was just last saying of like, you don't need to be confined to these like restrictions and limitations and all these other things. Like, I kind of think of it as like, I don't, at the stage of my life that I'm in right now, like I don't necessarily subscribe to a religion. Right now, you might you might catch me at Third Baptist Church on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm not
at a church.
I don't identify as like a Baptist or to that point even like a Christian, because like, not to say it's nothing bad with that. I was raised Catholic. I was raised in the, you know, St. Louis, so Catholic city.
I didn't know that. Deep Baptist South over here. I didn't know you was raised Catholic.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. Wow. You know, it's a lot of Catholicism in Louisiana, and then my people, you know, they just kind of went straight up to Mississippi and was in St. Louis, and then we still Catholic to this day. So I kind of grew up. That was kind of like my entry to, you know, faith overall. And to your point of what you were saying, that like that's what I'm grounded in. I'm grounded in this idea of like, it is a higher power. It is something that's like bigger. I was just kind of able to like build on top of that, but I don't need to necessarily let that be like the level that I stop at. And that's kind of how I look at it. Cause like to your point around 2020, I feel like that was definitely a spiritual reset. I think I was kind of able to come to a conclusion kind of through, I might be wrong on it, but is this like technically process of elimination? But I was like, I still feel spiritually grounded. I still feel connected to this higher power, but like I physically can't go to church, and like I physically can't like express my spirituality through this one religion. So then I was kind of like, oh, it don't have to be that small. And then you can like start, and then I kind of connected to this thing of like, now like I feel like, you know how I be feeling about, you know, just blackness, and you know how
I was just about to say that
energetic I get. Way. Like
exactly,
I was kind of already on this like natural tension piece of like how I even start practicing this to begin with. So like as I'm deepening my knowledge of like colonization, enslavement, and stuff like that, and then also I'm deconstructing and realizing that I don't have to take everything that's been given to me, then it's just kind of creating this perfect storm for me to just expand spiritually. You know what I mean? And like to your point of like it being like so many different ways that we even identify things. You know what I mean? I kind of think of it, my analogy of it is that we all you know, above us, spirit, source, whatever you call it, is like a body of water. That's the way I like to think of it. It's a body of water above us, and we all got our own pipes that's giving us direct access to that water, right? Now, some people, they can group the pipes up based off similarity, based off cultural expression. I think that religion is the intersection of your faith and your spirituality, and then in your culture. So, like, a lot of niggas, they pipes might be culturally similar, so they group into a religion, you know what I'm saying? Or they might be corralled into one, whatever way you want to look at it. But everybody still got their own pipes, their own individual pipes. You can be identical twins, same mama, same daddy, same family. Y'all, if we went into your brain, y'all would still have different interpretations, expressions of God, because y'all are just two fundamentally different. Y'all got different brains, different neurons making different connections. So like, I kind of come to the point of like, I'm not finna waste my breath. And to the extreme part, I'm not finna get into no crusades, you know what I'm saying? Or like, no, just like, I'm not gonna fall out with nobody over this stuff when it's like we all kind of come into like it's a write your own answer kind of question. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't no rubric where somebody gonna be like, no, you got it wrong because you was a Buddhist. Like, that's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I kind of like let that step back and then not take the things like that seriously. You know, also. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got to where I'm at with it.
That's so good. You just also are just energetically too. You were just a spiritual person. And I love what you said about just how you feel about like blackness and stuff like that. That was me too, especially during 2020 when everything going on.
That shit is at the head. Yeah.
It's like, what you mean?
You can't even ignore it.
What you mean some like black churches? I was just like, what? Did not take a stand. We're not taking a stand, and I hope I don't get no flack for this, what I'm about to say. I mean, but
speak your truth. Truth to power.
Know, I was, like youth president stuff at the time, and I remember my cabinet and stuff. We wanted to do something like with like Black Lives Matter and everything that was going on at the time. Yeah. Everything that was happening, and we got shut down. It was like it's not biblically rooted. It's not biblically rooted. There's nothing there in like Black Lives Matter. There's nothing that, mind you, this is a huge, like entity, this black. I'm like, what? The black church has always been the forefront and cornerstone for like civil rights and rights and things like that. What do you mean that us like youth and as youth president and as my cabinet, we don't have the autonomy to like talk to the youth and talk about what's happening, what's going on? And it's like, we not, they weren't saying like we can't talk about it, but basically like, better approach. More diplomatic approach. Like, no. There's no biblically sound for us to do a lesson or do things like that. It's not biblically sound. It's like, what?
And that kind of like feed into like this, now to like really get into, I feel like the energy that guides me to have this type of, I guess, spiritual clarity is like thinking about what is kept from us by being too deep into religion. Because to that point of like, y'all can't even organize. Historically, we was just at 16th Street Baptist Church. You know what I'm saying? Across the street, they had the children's monument because the children was like on the front lines of doing that work. They in the community organizing hub was the church. But to get in 2020, like 60 years later, to a point of like where your religion is kind of to that point, it got these walls up so deep that you're not recognizing how your entity has always served in this capacity, and now you kind of like are so corralled and so controlled by that religion that you love so much that you are not seeing how it's being harmful in this real time. So like that also kind of fueled me to also drop the rigidity of it. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like it's a certain price that you're paying for that rigidness. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're not just being rigid to be rigid. You being rigid is somebody's utility to keep oppressing us in a certain way or to keep excluding our voices in a certain way, if that's just another way to get you to conform to respectability politics to the level that you're not actually challenging nothing. You know what I mean? So when I figured, or like when I started recognizing like the power that religion and spirituality has to like control how people move and how they act and how they just like show up in the world, that's when I really started taking it more serious that like this is a influential thing over us. You know what I'm saying? If somebody can control what you believe about what's going to happen after you stop breathing, they can control everything you do before that breath stop. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy to think of it like as a contemporary black person, you know what I'm saying, with the knowledge that we got of stuff that happened in the past and being able to pick up on the things that's happening to us right now, it's low-key just so overwhelming to think of the ways that like it's all these mental and cognitive and spiritual traps that's on us that like really take a lot of work to like work through to get to a point of being able to, make some change, make some difference with it. And it's like those tasks are so tall to get around because it is stuff like religion. You know what I'm saying? Like people, you know what I'm saying, they that's the thing that they take the most serious. People be cutting their whole families off. You know what I'm saying? Like over some religious takes and stuff like that.
And like you said about going to church too, it's a beautiful thing. Like, at times I still go, like when I was still living, I live in Oakland now, but when I still was living here in the city, it was a church down the street like Black Pastor, young crowd, like great. I love to go. It just was such a beautiful atmosphere. It was just so sincere, and I just was like, yo, this is beautiful. This is great.
Yeah.
I take these lessons because it's always, you can always apply it to life. You know, if I got to filter something out, for the most part, that church, I didn't really have to filter anything out though.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, you know, if I got to filter something out, cool. But like you said, like, I don't need that as a grounds though for my spiritual practice. Because some, you know, I know some, they probably like, well, what you do, yo, man, it's, you know, stuff, it don't align with what we believe. And I think that's what, like, what you're saying about like, the ridges and stuff coming. It's like, why we all just can't exist?
Right, bro. Like, why?
Like,
I think about this, something that, like, that my granny said, God rest her soul. But
R.I.P.
like,
grannies. R.I.P. to me and Justin grannies.
R.I.P. man. Let me see our grannies. I know they doing good.
Yeah.
This world crazy.
They good.
But like my my big cousin, he more like my big brother, bro. This nigga, I swear, he had the textbook on trolling me, bro. Like, piss me off, bro. Like, he would just get under my skin so bad. Like, I just feel like he would just know how to, like.
Sidebar, I only grew up with sisters. Shout out to Tyler and Ashton. I grew up with my older sister, and plus, like, my god sisters too. I got god brothers who I close with, who I grew up with too, who I love them for the most, you know, like, but that anchor is like my older sisters.
Shout out big sisters, bro.
Literally, the anchor is my older sisters, my two older sisters. Love them. I'm happy. I just was like, I'm happy I didn't have to grow up with no brother. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. I just didn't want to. I didn't want that. I like being the only boy anyway. But like growing up with sisters and protective sisters, and shout out to black women because you know black, like, bro, they just
gonna get you right.
They got me right. Still to this day, like, protect me, love me. So I love that. Anyway, continue.
Nah, I was just gonna say that, like, he basically, long story short, like, he didn't know how to rage bait me so good, and like we, you know, we ended up like fighting or something, and I had to go in my granny room, and she like, and like she would be like, she was pissed saying, and she like, why you letting what he doing bother you so much? I'm like, that like really like put some wrinkles on my brain as like a 6-year-old. I was like, damn, like,
Justin, I could just see you.
I was so mad.
Getting the hella mad. Did you when you just have a kid who would like cry? Did you like cry?
Yeah, yeah. And she'd be like, boy, why you letting him get you, like, why you letting what he do bother you so much? And like, I take that like and apply it to so much. Like, even if like what we was talking about earlier, to the piece of like, you know, making some like developments with just like how I'm interacting with queer people. That's just something that like comes in, like, bro, like, why are you genuinely bothered by how this person living their life? You know what I mean? I'm like, what? That should not be. That's not your business. You know what I mean?
Is it something that you want to tell us and let us in on?
Right. It's like, why?
Everything okay at home?
Why are you letting that bother? It to the point of like the rigidity in the religion. It's like, bro, why is me like meditating and telling you the properties of a rock just getting you so mad right now?
Like, bro, why can't I look at my astrology chart today? Why am I going to hell?
Right. Like, it always got to be so extreme.
Like, why am I going to hell for that, bro? Like, I'm trying to read, yo. I want to know. Let me tap in.
It's crazy, man. But when I step back and I think of all the different ways that they got us, I'm like, bro, like, into what we was talking about earlier, the work just got to be done. I personally, like, a stance I've been kind of feeling that's like been at the front of my mind recently is like, as a black community, and specifically as black men, I feel like we cannot afford to be neutral, and we damn sure can't afford no other people going negative on us. If you a black man, you damn near need to only be going forward. You know what I'm saying? Generating something positive for people, because like they got us in a lot of directions. And by the day, it's the people who don't want the best for us. That's the best way I can put it, like that. And it is in their power if you are either just sitting there not doing shit, or if you actively helping them push back in that other direction. So that's my thing. Like, you gotta
That's good.
always be on some like positive building type stuff, because like it's a lot of work to be done. Not to mention, numerically, we ain't even hit the average point from being enslaved. Like, you know,
slavery.
Like, it's not, we not even balanced out at a point where it's like it's been more years past 1865 than it was before it. You know what I mean? So like to that point, it's just so much work that got to be done.
You need one of those buttons where you like, you need that, and you need a button that's like got me saying like slavery. It's like tapping while somebody talking.
I like, need to get my own soundboard and shit, because I've been thinking about switching over to streaming, and because like I think,
okay, Carl,
bro, I was just on his shit the other day, but like I think,
Carl,
like,
get me on the stream, Carl. Give me on the stream.
He gonna be like, brother, bet. He gonna be, I bet that.
Carl, get me on the stream, Carl. Let's do it. Let's do it, bro.
But like, to that point, like, I feel like putting myself in situations like that where like I can really like flow like that, like, is really setting me up for like success in a way. So like
It is.
That's
It is. And at this point too, it's just like what you can relate to. Well, I don't know. Some people are not a lost cause, but I don't know, whatever. But at this point too, I'm not really around, and I don't run in circles that also where I have to deal with that anymore, like the homophobia. But, you know what I mean? Some of the rooms that we be into as black men, and like black fraternities and stuff like that, I run into it sometimes. But I'm more of like a palpable like version of that. It's like, oh, nigga, okay, that's what's cool. I don't care. It's like, I know you. Like, I know you don't care because it's me. But I just heard what you said over there. It's like, the little stuff would be like,
a different way.
Exactly. It's like, well, I mean, nigga, you could be gay, but just don't have a purse. It's like, what? So, nah. Well, what's your look at me interviewing you.
All right,
what's your thoughts right now on like, you already know I'm about to segue into I'm a bell hooks enthusiast. What's your and for everybody get everybody be up in arms every time I say that and be like, well, she and her critique. It's like I don't. Everybody's not above critique.
Nobody perfect.
Like that was like the bulk of like some of her writings was in the 90s and early 2000s and the 80s. Scholars. So of course like people grow and she did evolve over time. Like I've critiqued her publicly too, like stuff that
that's what you're supposed to do. You ain't supposed to like just accept everything blindly.
Like, but like,
perfect. Like that's
what's
how
your
you
like
in a cult?
What's your like love ethic right now? Like looking like just like in your life and your relationship and community and like especially this latter part too of like you ending a chapter right now. What does that look like and what does that feel like for you? I'm curious.
Break down love ethic for me a little bit so I can answer the question better.
So like love ethic, like just how you showing up through love. Like right now would be example of like your love ethic. Like my love ethic in this moment would be an example of like the mustering and the evolution of another one's like path and soul right now. And I feel like we're doing that right now through this conversation. Yeah. Like it's downloads I'm getting, downloads you getting. Yeah. So yeah. Like so how you like just interfacing every day with folks. Like
showing up.
Yeah. Like just through love. Like right I mean now, this is self. It's love, man.
Right now I feel like translation and modeling is like my biggest things because like to the point of like this stage of my life that I'm in right now, about to graduate, is like I was able to build a lot and gain a lot of knowledge here at USF and like just like having the abilities to like, if it's another point of like the cognitive, like the got versus have to thing, like sometimes I wake up in the morning like, I gotta do this for brother connection or I gotta do this for frat, but it's like,
okay, brother connection, like, I heard that in a minute.
But it's like I get to do these things, you know what I'm saying? Like thinking of like all the knowledge that I have and all the blessings and experience, like I feel like the way I'm showing up now is trying to translate that and translate it forward. So like making sure that like, like it was big to me to like come back and be the Marshall Riley RA. Like make sure that like they in a position that where like Black USF gonna keep sustaining, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I think just showing up, taking that time to like really build community and like also make sure that I'm getting people to be in a spot to where they can be their best version of themselves. You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of like I'm in my, they've been calling me Unc all year, but like I'm in like my elder statesman kind of college era, and not to like call myself like old or nothing, but like in the college age, like, I'm old. Like it is in college, you know what I mean? I'm still 22, but like in college I'm like
22 is crazy,
right? So like in college it's a point where like I got this responsibility to kind of make sure that they good in a way. So like that's a real way it's been showing up. Really just like taking the time to like have conversations, just be there, be a little bit more present. But then also just like make sure people like shit clicking. Like shout out like Jace, like my young boy. But he gonna like he gonna be on campus. After he gonna be the only person in the chapter. So making sure he good to like run stuff and like being like, all right, like. But do you know how like or do you know why like I made this programming decision to do it on this day versus this day? Like the stuff like the nuance stuff,
little stuff like that though. Yeah, like that changes. Yeah,
trying to like really figure out that like this spot is in a better spot than I found it. That's how it's been showing.
You did that. You did that and you're doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You should be proud of yourself. The work, how you came in, your impact in community and your impact in this community too is felt. Yeah. That's great.
I appreciate that, Brendan. No, I think that's how it's showing up. Really, just being intentional on like that transition. Leaving the space better than I found it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Jasmine.
Yeah.
I'm wondering too. Here we go too with this. So like, as somebody like me right now who like I'm dating and stuff like that, you know, like trying to find my way, and just I had to learn, you know, like just learn from my, you know, like I was in a relationship, and it was one of the most, I'll make that clear, it's one of the most beautiful experiences like that I ever had. That was my first real relationship. That was like, yo, like to be loved out loud like that, and also to have a community of support behind you, it is nothing like that. They held so much. Like childhood me would have been like, hey, this is great. Of course, it's things that I wish could have played out differently, or things I could have done differently, or like vice versa. But he and I have had that conversation like a year ago. Like we already had that conversation. But I'm curious too with like your relationship, because y'all been together at this point, what, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
How long have we been together now? Y'all both like being my friends, and I've had conversation with both of y'all like separately together and stuff like that. What is some advice? Maybe not advice, because advice has a weird connotation. Like he knows all the, like they know all the things about. No, but what's some like
some wisdom,
some pointers of like through conflict and through, but also protecting, because you're already like, clearly I'm already, a lot of people know, I always laugh because I'm like, I come from the school of Beyonce. Of like, when it comes to, you know, my privacy, I am a private person. I ain't a secret person, but I'm private. Like King Tan and like Tanner Zion are two different people. You know what I'm saying? Like how I'm viewed on like Instagram or like in certain spaces and stuff like that versus like who I am in my core. That's something I'm real protective of. And I just feel like the public and people, especially in community work, just in general in other rooms and stuff, I mean, they don't need to know all that about me. Like, you don't need to know this and stuff like that. So right now I'm just trying to find this fine point when it is that time for me to be in like a dynamic again or a relationship again, having that balance of between like privacy and comfortability and a protection over like a union and a relationship versus like not hiding, but just being like, nah, like I don't feel like I don't want to share this with y'all. Like I don't want, because I'm still like that. There's some things like even today that I wanted to say, but I'm like, nah, I'm not sharing it with y'all. Like it just, I'm not sharing this. This is gonna be there. I'm not sharing that. But like, what's that? That was a lot. But like, what's that balance look like? How have you been able to balance that through like? And y'all both were like figureheads on campus. Did a lot of things. Like she does her thing, you do your thing. But like, you know, but for the most, y'all keep people though. Like y'all keep people at y'all relationship, and that's the thing that with my like. We ain't do that. Like me and him, we ain't do that. But like y'all got that down. It was trial and error. Like y'all had y'all whatever things. Like nothing is perfect, but like y'all keep people at y'all stuff. Y'all pop out. You know, y'all post each other in a photo dump and stuff like that. And I like admire that. So like, what's some like thing you have for some people? You know, for that. And for me, I'm asking because like y'all been like what y'all doing is working. Clearly, you know.
Yeah, nah. I would say for sure is like on that aspect of like having people like. It's only you and that person in a relationship. I think that's
it should be.
Yeah, it should be. Ideally, it should just be.
It should be
y'all too. So like thinking of it, like the way I kind of frame it is like really viewing like Zaina as like my partner. You know what I mean? Of like we ideally like it's times where like this don't happen, but like ideally we should always be like on the same page on stuff and like you know kind of addressing stuff from like the same angle. So like to that aspect of like. Even if there is some type of like another like person who's like trying to interject or whatever, it's like we're gonna both be assessing that together. You know what I mean? So like I'm also kind of like picking her brain on like how she feel about the situation. She picking mine, and you know just like kind of having that conversation about it. And really just also always being in communication about how y'all want to show up. Like and just trying to like as much. Cause it's hella hard, I would say, like being 3 years in a relationship to have to like sync up like that. Like it's hard as hell. Like it take like just like a lot of just like pattern recognition, communication, just like recognizing vibes and stuff like that to know like how y'all want to sync up on stuff. But like being on sync on how y'all want to handle stuff is like just the best way. And like sometimes it do just have to come down to like a conversation that might not necessarily be good, but it's like to that partnership piece, it might have just been a means to a more productive end. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of think of like that aspect of like always centering like the other person that you're in this with. Because sometimes it can feel like to the nervous system point of like you fighting a bear, but it's like
I love you say fighting a bear because for real, I feel
that's
like
how I be feeling. But it's like
that.
But like, bro, like take a deep breath. Like your heart beating a little fast. Like this is like your partner. This is the person that you be having like all your other good times with. You know what I'm saying? So like taking that perspective as well with you, I think. And I think I've been saying it a lot, but like just cognitively shifting like how you think about certain situations, I think also is like good for the sustainability. At least on my part of just being like, bro, like she not trying to like villainize me, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. Like, you know,
it's easy to go to that.
So.
And that's just a lover of love. I'm just such a lover boy. Like as a lover of love, I love to study it, love to read it.
That's something I feel like I need to tap more into though. Like I low-key been feeling like I'm not that I'm not emotionally in tune, but like I don't think as deeply about stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
it's on my mind all the time.
Sometimes I get like I'm low-key on the other side of the spectrum where I'm a little bit more like analytical, logistical, kind of like not trying to feel as much, you know what I mean? I be more up here with it, the intellectual side of it. So I'm actually trying to work towards like getting more of the emotional side of it. You know what I mean? And, like,
I'm an emotional ass nigga.
Yeah, I mean, bro, but it's like, bro, we like, you know what I'm saying? The balance there, you know what I'm saying? Like the shit that's not mutually exclusive in that, you know what I mean? And I'm just really at a point where I'm trying to figure out like where are my areas of growth in that. You know,
and I've just learned. I had to learn to embrace that because I was fighting for years so much against that. About just like my sensitivity, which is weird because I live in this thing like I'm a sensitive person. Like I just feel things so deeply. I'm an emotional person, but at the same time, you know me. Like I'm confrontational. I'm a force. Like don't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? These like in rooms I'm in, anything like I'm on that. Like I'm on that. Like I'm stern when it comes to like my ideas, my creativity, or when I have a belief about something. And I had to learn too. Like I make sure I'm conveying that in the right way. Too. That was the thing. My cousin, he really helped me. Brandon, he really helped me with that. About like you say great things. I remember back in the day, he was like, you say great things. You always like your points are great. Blah blah blah. But make sure like, and this was right when I was coming to USF. He's like, make sure like you're in tune and refined. And it's like you're advocating for this. Like nobody's coming at you. Again, you're not fighting a bear. Like, so why am I getting so, it's like, nah, it's a way I can say this and come across and be stern, just talk like this and do this and believe it to be so and still be like my loving self. But anyway, I'm just like really in tune, like just emotionally, and I try to be, but just trying to be like, trying to find a balance. And so I ran so long for like being this emotional person until I embraced it. And I found true freedom like that.
That's beautiful.
You know, like embracing that and being emotional and also knowing what to be emotional about. Like I just feel like too sometimes everything does not require like this cortisone level raise reaction emotionally or like super, because you said pattern recognition and that's something in therapy recently that came up for me. It's like pattern recognition can be a good thing when it comes to partnership, but also at times you become like super hyper vigilant too of your partners and like friends too, emotions that affect you. So it's like, is he okay? Is it me? Like, they mad at me? Is it worried about me? So like also noticing like, oh, that ain't got nothing to do with me. And if it is something to do with me, I trust that like my friends or my family, whatever, they gonna let me know. But you got it. Like I just like what we was talking about earlier about using your feelings as a guide. Like that's your compass in this life, like your feelings on how you feel about that. And like even like with career shifts and right now what you dealing with like trying to figure out like which grad school, which program is gonna be the best for me. It's about like that feeling and like really sitting with that about what's gonna feel right for me. Like this could look great, this could be great, my vision, but what's gonna feel right. So like getting in touch like what you said with that feeling, that's important.
Nah, definitely. But I wanted to kind of ground this. Not gonna end yet, but we're gonna start breaking down. I got a few questions. I'm gonna ask you this a little bit earlier, but I ain't gonna ask it to you now so you can think on it in the background.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you to connect me with somebody who can be on this show. So I'm gonna just have you start thinking about some good people. But I ain't gonna ask it yet, so you can kind of marinate on it. Cause I be catching people with that. They sit here for about like 3 minutes. I'm like, all right, bro, we gotta keep the shit going. But but what I'm kind of curious about now is how are you going to keep modeling this same level of rigor that you bring to the community in your work and that same level of passion? How are for the next, let's say like month or the next like 2-3 months ahead, like how are you kind of visioning like you staying consistent in that, you know, community connection and that forward facing positive work? Like, how are you kind of going to see that show up in this next phase of your life?
I think number one, trusting myself, trusting my vision, and trusting my goals. Because by this point now, I got a pretty good grip on like what it's so much more for me to learn. I kind of be hard on myself when it comes to that too. Yeah. I started this work at 23 or something like that. I mean, 27 now. I kind of got my feeding. I still could be like a little wobbly. Like, what was that movie called? Happy Feet?
Happy Feet.
You know, so I can still be a little wobbly at times, but I just have some great guiding forces in this work too. Yeah. Like that I interface with every day, down from my ED, my auntie. There was an auntie, but that's my ED. I always called her auntie before she became like executive director over the company. Everybody was like, "That's your auntie?" I'm like, "That ain't my real auntie, y'all. Yeah. It's a black youth, and it's a level of respect I got for Nina." So her, and then down to like Nico, who's been in community for so long, and is also one of my closest friends, down to Brittany, who's like, you know, like a big sister. So it's just, I have a lot of people to model after and guiding, and like mentors who just speak life into me and also guide me in a way too where I don't get burnt out in this work, and having that balance. And that's what like my artistry comes in too, of like just the building.
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, what's like your artistry been like?
Just the building of my brand. You know, I grew up always like on stage. My life has always been on stage, like just acting from like kindergarten. Yeah. I did that kindergarten through 12th grade. I got to college and I just wanted something different. Cause I look back, I'm like, dang, I kind of was burnt out. Yeah. Like, went to a great performing arts high school and middle school, did like extensive, like #1 in the state, competitions, just putting on Broadway productions. We talking about getting rights from Disney and like putting on stuff and like crazy things, great, amazing. But I got to college and I was like, and my mom was actually disappointed that I didn't go to performing arts like college. Like, I didn't go do that. And I was like, no, like I need to study. Like, I just want to go to school. Yeah. And but that grounding for me looks like continuing writing, like continuing my writing, continuing the building of my brand that I've been working on for the last year, that is going to start debuting soon, which I'm really excited about that. Yeah. Exclusive, Justo exclusive, Truth to Power.
You heard it here first. You heard it here on Truth to Power first.
Truth to Power exclusive, like that, and having that as just a grounding, like that's the grounding force for me. Yeah, my creativity, and that's one thing in this work too, that I've been able to blend like my creativity, but also my passion and my love for community and for Black youth is very important. Like, you can, in a way, like craft and mesh both, because the doors were open for me like that. Like, to give me the autonomy to do this, be the face of this, do this, go in this room, go talk about this, go, I trust you. And it's like, what? I don't know what to do. I trust you. You can do it. So having that. So that's
beautiful.
And I hope that makes sense. Like that's going to be that for me. Like, my community is always in place. Like, you and I talked about how in nonprofit work and in certain areas of work, besides like continuous like programming for youth and stuff, that should be forever. And Black youth, that's generational. That's that. But certain nonprofit work in certain areas of work, like, it shouldn't go on forever. So I also don't see myself in this work in this capacity forever. What does that look like? Could it be soon? I don't know. We do know, that collective impact is dissolving on April 30th. But like, what does that look like for me? Like, to make sure I'm still at whatever next phase of my career that I'm going into with my brand and with the opportunities and stuff that I do have that's coming up from like a creative side, which I do. That's always been a goal for me. But I can still impact people and Black youth through my work. This work gonna always be there. It's always gonna ground me, and I'm gonna make sure that at some capacity, whether it's me working, going into like high schools and work, because I also do that, like going to the high schools and working with their Black student unions. That is one of my favorite things I do right now, like with my job. It's great. I love doing that. Going into these schools, doing that, going into these after school programs and working with these babies, talking with these babies, working alongside these parents to make sure that they have the resources and things they need. Like I can do that without having to be in the structure of that being my 9 to 5 while fueling, like, you know, my brand and the things that I'm building up right now and the other creative opportunities, like living off of that. You know, and also kind of takes away the extractivism too from it. You know, because I love what I do, and that's also like giving scholar, like a goal of mine too is to be able to build up enough revenue too to like, well, I can give like money and scholarships to Black kids going to school so they can retain, whether it's only $1,000 or $500, anything. I know, and you know, anything helps. Anything helps. So that part,
for sure.
Yeah.
And then one thing, so I'm finna ask the question, but one thing that I was thinking about that I said earlier, I maybe lost, is like this idea, and spiritually something that grounds me is like, I had this idea that like, you know, if you doing the work, if you head in the direction, Most High is gonna recognize that, and they gonna amplify and push you along on that path. So like when you were just saying that just like really sat with me, because like it's kind of grounded in this like great quote that I heard that like, you know, work is better than prayer, but prayer is better than sleep. And I kind of think about like when you put that work in there, like I damn near, I mean, I feel like I don't think of myself as a nerd, but I feel like this for niggas to be like, this nigga a nerd, but like, and I ain't even a nigga who like math like that, but like I think of it as like an algebra equation almost, where like that work that you doing, like that's just like the constant number. That's the thing that ain't got no letter attached to it. But the shit that got that letter attached to it, that thing with that variable, that's God. And it's like, it can just be as big as it can be, but like as long as you doing your constant work, as long as you doing that piece, the other is gonna follow. So I just wanted to say like that was like really resonating for me, of like, you knowing that like you gonna be doing this work and it's gonna naturally just come together. It's gonna be that certain like synchronicity with it. So
yes, and it's like too what you said, like building on that. This is one of my favorite things in The Artist Way. You ever heard the book The Artist Way?
I have.
It's love that, and it's a workbook, and you studying it, and I've kind of been I pick it up, I put it down, I pick it up, I put it down. But one of the things that always stands out to me within that book of quoted is like, leap and the net will follow. So it's like it doesn't matter what direction I go in. Like leap and the net will follow. It doesn't matter what direction I go in and what I do. Like that net is gonna always follow. And I've also came to terms with a long time ago, since a kid, like that part of my purpose too in this life is to be seen. You know, is to be seen, is to create, and is to love, and to be like a physical manifestation of what could be for a lot of folks who look like us. And it doesn't have to look one way. Like my life is never gonna look like one way. I'm such a multidimensional person. So my life is never gonna look just like this. But that's important for me. Like my purpose, like to be seen. So even coming on here, like I told you, like it was other people who've asked me to go, and I'm like, no, like I don't think it's the right time. But I know to continue to be propelled, especially in this transition, be propelled further into my purpose. That came up for me in January. I wrote that down. It's just like, bro, you got to be seen. You got to be seen in a lot of ways, because I'm so big too. That's how I was raised, you know, in the South, about controlling narratives and things should look a certain way. And when you seen, you don't really have control sometimes of how people perceive you. Like you can mean and say one thing, and so that's always big for me, because I always have never wanted people to misunderstand anything, because sometimes people have had that like commitment, and I feel like you probably can relate to that, to like when you say a lot of things, number one, people want to humble you, like family and people just like want to humble you, and that still confuses me to this day, of like, why you always trying to humble me? Like that is I hate that. But like never wanted to be misunderstood or trying to over explain myself. Like those days are far behind me. You gonna think what you gonna think, and you can't humble me, because I'm so grounded in my things. I love feedback. I love like mentorship, but like you trying to tell me I should live my life, or like I should do this, and
it's a balance.
You know what I'm saying? So that like leap and like the net gonna follow. Like so you said, like purpose.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep that one. That might fuck around and be the episode.
Like leaping and that gonna follow, man.
But transitioning. So a little bit. I like to think of it as a sustainability question. If you could see one person on Truth to Power, but you would have to help me get them on the show, like I'm gonna need like some type of like handout, some type of connection. Who is one person that you would like to see on the show?
Executive Director, MBA, Nina Smallwood.
Okay.
Auntie. Everybody call her Auntie, Nina Smallwood, MBA. Her journey is just impeccable. Like, she didn't get her first degree, I think. Was this her story to tell, you know? But she didn't get her first, I think she got her bachelor's when she was 34 or something. 33, 34 maybe. And MBA.
For sure.
And is running a nonprofit. And it's funny you said sustainability. Her master's is in, like, one of her things is like sustainability or something like that.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy. Yeah, shit.
So she is like a and she just, her knowledge just in a black woman. It ain't a black woman I can't thank.
Yeah.
That lady, like that lady there,
for sure,
is just great. Her story's great too, and she funny as hell.
For sure. Well, I'm gonna connect with you then, so we can grab her and put her on the show.
Funny
man,
as hell.
so.
She from the Midwest too.
Okay. Yeah. Even better.
Look,
so go ahead. We're gonna
boom,
tap in after that.
Boom.
But for the final aspect, this ain't even a question. It's really a transfer of just, I guess, positionality. I'm gonna turn it over to you to say anything, lead the audience with something, or just like a final thought. I want to turn it over to you so you can have the last word.
Appreciate that, Justin. First, thank you for having me here.
Appreciate you coming. Like for full transparency, I be having so much anxiety asking people to come on the show, and like this is like a thing I really got to drop on, just asking. You know what I'm saying? The worst somebody can say is no. Like, you know what I mean? So I just want to say I appreciate you coming on.
No, this has been years in the making, and it couldn't be like a more perfect and divine time to be here. I guess I'll just like leave everybody with love yourself, believe in yourself. There's nothing in this world that you cannot do, be, or have, and it's nothing outside of you. Like, everything is already inside you, and just pay attention to the signs and the signals of your life. Like, you always are like, it's some pebbles that are always dropping. Pay attention, and you'll look back and be like, oh, this meant that, this meant this. And be easy on yourself. Which something I'm still learning is to be more gentle with myself and watch the things I speak and say over myself, and don't let anybody humble you. Like, have your ideas, believe it. Now, be able to be guided, because you got to be able to be guided. Be able to be guided. But yeah, and be open. Be open to life's experiences and the things that come. And things are so temporary. It'll never be one way forever. And I think that's something I always have to tell myself. Like, this too shall pass. It will never be this way forever. The things we're guaranteed in this life is change and death. That's things we guarantee with. So I just leave you with that.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, look, no better way than to end the show than with some real truth and some real power. So I just want to say, brother, appreciate it.
Hey!
Yes, sir. And I want to say I appreciate y'all for watching another episode of Truth to Power. Peace.